The hunter man was known across the valley not for his cruelty, nor for his strength, but for the strange silence that followed him wherever he walked, as if even the wind paused to listen to the rhythm of his boots striking the earth. Every dawn he rose before the sun, sharpening his knives with slow, thoughtful strokes, preparing for a journey he never explained to anyone. Villagers whispered that he hunted not animals, but memories, pieces of a past that had been stolen from him long before he understood their worth. One cold morning, when the mountains were still wrapped in mist, he set out deeper into the forest than ever before, driven by a feeling he couldn't name but couldn't ignore. The woods welcomed him with the crackle of twigs under his feet, and the distant calls of unseen creatures seemed to guide him toward a path he had never taken. As he ventured further, flashes of forgotten faces stirred in his mind, a woman's smile, a child's laughter, a house standing alone on a hill. He couldn't tell if they were real memories or dreams, but the ache inside him demanded answers. Hours passed, and the forest grew darker and thicker, branches twisting like ancient fingers reaching for his coat. Yet he pressed on, gripping his bow and keeping his senses alert. Suddenly, the silence shattered with a roar that shook the leaves from the trees. The hunter man stopped, his heartbeat thundering as he scanned the shadows. From behind a fallen log, a massive black wolf emerged, its eyes glowing with a strange mixture of fury and grief. The hunter man raised his weapon, but something in the creature's gaze made him hesitate. It wasn't just a beast, it was a guardian, protecting something deeper within the forest. The wolf circled him slowly, and instead of attacking, it began walking down a narrow trail, pausing to look back as if commanding him to follow. Confused but compelled, the hunter man obeyed. The trail wound through tangled vines and moss-covered stones until they reached an ancient abandoned cabin. The moment he saw it, his breath caught, because he recognized it, even though he had no memory of ever being here. The wolf stood guard at the door, watching him with an almost human sadness. With trembling hands, he pushed the door open. Inside, dust floated like ghosts in the dim light. A wooden table held a faded photograph of a woman and a child standing beside a younger version of himself. His chest tightened painfully as the truth rushed back. This was his home, the place he had lost in a fire many years ago when a mysterious attack wiped out everything he loved. The shock of the tragedy had shattered his memory, leaving him wandering the world with nothing but instincts and sorrow he didn't understand. He sank to his knees as emotion overwhelmed him. Tears he had never known he carried spilled down his face, and for the first time in years, he allowed himself to mourn. As he reached for the photograph, the air behind him stirred. Slowly he turned, expecting danger, but instead, he saw a figure emerging from the shadows, an old man with a scar across his cheek and eyes sharp as steel. "You survived," the stranger said, his voice thick with disbelief. The hunter man stood, confused. The old man explained that he had once been the leader of a rival clan and that the fire that destroyed the cabin was never meant for the hunter man's family, it was part of a war between clans that spiraled out of control. The old man had spent years searching for survivors, praying for forgiveness he feared he'd never receive. Rage exploded inside the hunter man, hot and fierce. He drew his knife and stepped forward, every muscle ready to strike, but then the wolf growled, a low, warning sound that cut through his anger. The hunter man froze. The old man bowed his head and whispered, "I came to face the consequences. Do what you must." The hunter man lifted the knife, the weight of vengeance heavy in his hand, but the photograph on the table caught his eye, reminding him of the love he had lost, and the peace his family deserved. Killing this man wouldn't bring them back. Slowly, he lowered the blade. "Leave," he said, voice shaking, "and never return to these woods again." The old man nodded with deep gratitude, turning away as if a lifetime of guilt had finally found its end. The hunter man watched him go, then looked down at the wolf, realizing it had been protecting the truth all along. He placed a hand on its head, feeling an unexpected warmth. The sun began to set, painting the sky with shades of gold and fire, and for the first time in years, he felt something like hope. He knew he couldn't bring back the past, but he could honor the memories he had recovered. As he stepped outside the cabin, the forest seemed to breathe with him, and he walked toward the horizon with new purpose, not as a hunter of ghosts, but as a man who had finally found himself again, a man without memories. A forest full of secrets. A truth buried in silence, waiting to strike like a shadow in the dark. If you want more gripping stories like this, subscribe now and stay hooked to every chapter of the journey.